Let me show you guys something. I took a screenshot of this email from our student. Student says, "My results are in and I'm delighted that I could reach my desired score in the first attempt. Your material was of great help during preparation. It helped me focus on multiple areas." Now, the score in the student's mark sheet is listening 12, reading 12, writing a little low at 9, speaking 10. The student needed only a CLB 9 for their immigration, and that's all that's needed, but the student got 12s, 2 of them in listening and reading. But I really want to focus on reading 12. A lot of students say reading is tough and I'm scoring low there. But this student is not the only one who got a 12 out of 12. A lot of students do get this mark. Why? Because it's not the reading that's difficult. It's your strategy that makes it difficult. Of course, there's practice. Of course, there's skill. But if you're using the right strategy, it becomes a piece of cake. And today I'm gonna tell you what that is. Don't worry, it's not gonna be any suspense. I'll tell you right now, the right strategy is to read the question properly. Wait a second. That's obvious. We all know that. But there are layers to it. How you read the question really determines how you're going to answer. And the understanding of that is what we're going to discuss today with the help of this example. Questions on the right, the passage on the left. I've selected a part 4 reading, and I've selected some questions where I know people will make mistakes. So we'll discuss that with an example here to really show you how to get this done. Now, this is part 4. Questions I'm going to look at, for example, this one. Let's say I'm doing number 3. How does biomimicry, whatever you call it, influence modern building designs? Now, we know, if you have been following this channel, nouns or terms like this scientific term are things that can be found easily in the passage just by a quick skimming and scanning right there. Why? Because they're not going to be paraphrased. These are official terms or names. So I'm going to be able to find them. Then I know that this paragraph is what I have to read to answer this question. Now, maybe it's presented later on. I don't see it on skimming, and I'm not going to let that bother me. I know I have less time. I found it here. With the help of this paragraph, I'm going to go ahead and answer this. Later on, if I see this word again, then I'm going to go back and maybe change my answer. But for now, let me get an answer. Okay, now stay tuned until the end of this video. There is a lot more to it that I have to add. The question is, how does biomimicry influence modern building designs? Let's have a look at our options. By reducing biodiversity, so I'm going to watch out for that. Through nature-inspired innovations, okay, via conventional cooling processes, with traditional heating systems. So these are the things I need to watch out for. Fine, let's get started. One cannot discuss sustainable architecture without delving into the burgeoning field of biomimicry. Okay, so that's where it's introduced, where nature's intrinsic designs inspire innovation. Okay, so there was a point about that. Through nature-inspired innovations. So that's how it influences. Okay, fine, that makes sense. Could be the answer. Continue. Engineers and architects are increasingly emulating natural forms and processes to create buildings that are not only efficient but also symbiotic with their surroundings. Okay, so engineers are doing it. Fine, don't really care. I'm not finding anything that I found here. Keep going. For instance, the Eastgate Center in Harare, Zimbabwe, utilizes passive cooling techniques. Okay, there's something about that. Analogous to those used by African termite mounds, dramatically reducing its reliance on artificial air conditioning. So they're using passive cooling techniques, which means it could be this one, via conventional cooling processes. Now, it's not really passive, doesn't mean conventional. It's something else, so it's not matching it, but this one matched. So this is likely the answer. Okay, let me tell you, you got the right answer. Okay, but there's a big problem. Do you know what mistake I made when I was doing this? I made a major mistake. The mistake I made was I opened this first before reading the whole thing. And in this case, I was lucky. I found the answer. However, what mostly happens is the 3 wrong options confuse you. You see how I stopped at passive cooling techniques? Because I was like, that's one thing here. So a lot of students will select that because they have read it and they're actively looking for that in the passage. That's the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do, and this would have made this faster, is you just read the question, understand it, tell yourself this is what I'm looking for, then go into the passage and find that. Look at how my intention is going to change now. So I'm now looking at this. It says, how does biomimicry influence modern building designs? So I'm thinking, okay, how does this thing change building designs? How does this affect maybe the budgets, or maybe how does it change the looks and shapes of that? Okay, so now I'm looking at this paragraph and my understanding will be so laser focused. It says one cannot discuss this without, this is just a general statement, where nature's intrinsic designs inspire innovation. So biomimicry uses nature's intrinsic designs and that leads to innovation. Okay, engineers and architects, they emulate natural forms to create buildings that are not only efficient but also symbiotic with surroundings. Okay, so what they do with biomimicry is they use the natural forms and processes to create buildings. So they use the nature and the surroundings to copy and make a building design. Fine, that's it. Now this is all I need to know. I'll keep reading. This is an example. And here they're just talking about cooling techniques. It has nothing to do with biomimicry. So it is not directly telling you how it influences modern building designs. If I know that's what I'm looking for, I won't even read this in too much detail because it's not talking about how it's affecting building designs. It's talking about how it reduces the reliance on artificial air conditioning. So it makes me answer the question faster. It also helps me understand the context, and in cases when there are two very close answers, I'm able to pick the right one all the time. So I'm looking at the question and really understanding the meaning of it. Let me give you another example in case you're confused so far. Let's say we're looking at question number 2. This is even more difficult. Which construction technique is contrasted in vertical city development? So I'm now thinking, which is the contrast or the objection to vertical city development? Vertical city is one thing, something else is saying that it is bad or it's wrong, or it is maybe better than the vertical city development. I understand the question, and I'm now going to look at the passage, not the options, because I am in a clear headspace. I'll find the answer myself. When I know for sure, then I'm going to look at the options. So the passage starts with, in the sprawling landscape of human achievement, some general statements there. So they're talking about how cities are not just concrete jungles, but living organisms that interact. Okay, I'm trying to find vertical city development. Okay, the heart of this transformation pulsates within the ideology of vertical cities. Okay, so we have that. Remember, what are we looking for? We're looking for what is contrasted against it. Fine. So it defines vertical city. It's a concept that epitomizes the future. Okay, these skyscrapers extend beyond mere vertical expansion. They embody something. Fine. You see how I'm ignoring that? Because I know I'm not looking for vertical cities development. I'm looking for the opposite, the objection, something that is contrasted. Architects and urban planners are increasingly turning towards modular construction techniques. So this is something that people are turning towards instead of vertical cities. Now it continues. Modular construction techniques wherein prefabricated building units are assembled into cohesive towering structures, reducing waste and construction time substantially. So vertical cities are your skyscrapers. That's the common thing we see in urban landscapes. But this is the modular construction techniques that we're switching to. Now, wait a second. There's something else here. It says in juxtaposition. This means in contrast, which is exactly rephrasing this one. So I would be very intrigued to listen to this. And it says, let's listen to it. In juxtaposition to traditional horizontal sprawl, vertical cities present a paradigmatic shift in urban planning. They advocate for, so I, as a student who's not focused, might be really captivated by this and think the answer is here. But again, I know my question. My question is, which construction technique is contrasted in vertical city development? This is talking about more vertical cities, not the contrast. So I'm going to go back and look at what was the contrast. And I know it's something like modular construction techniques. So this word is not going to fool me because I know exactly what I'm supposed to look for. And that is the answer. Of course, you have to look at the other options too. But once you do, eliminate the rest, you will see this matches things perfectly. And we're able to find that quickly and accurately because we know the question. Guys, this technique of knowing the question and finding it first before opening the options and really telling yourself, this is what I'm looking for. This is key to understanding the interpretation, the tone-based questions, the expression-based questions, where the keywords are not just there. You have to infer the meaning. You can get that done if you can get the question done in your head better. Again, let me repeat what I said at the start of this video. The main technique in CELPIP reading to get better is understanding exactly what the question is asking you, fishing for that answer, and then coming back and answering it like an expert. Guys, I hope this video helped out. If you want mock tests like these, we have 25 of them and more coming up. They're all in our course right now at a huge discount. It is in the description. Check it out. Please like, share, and subscribe as well. We'll talk soon. Take care.